Hello and welcome. This is my new video series Up Close, where, as the title implies, I will be discussing some narrowed topics at the intersection of the areas of philosophy, cognitive science, and artificial intelligence. The goal of this series is to first distill the understanding of the topic of each video, as well as take some time to reflect on what the different interpretations and possible extensions of this topic are about. In this very first video, I'll be talking about intelligence, a concept that pops up across a wide variety of contexts in the aforementioned fields and seems to be tricky and controversial for several reasons. The first reason is that we often mean, when we say intelligence, a capability, right? We mean an ability to plan and adapt to one's environment. But in normal, ordinary language, we often mean different things when we call someone intelligent. Or in psychology, there are different measures of intelligent behavior, which are typically done against a series of tasks or standardized tests and questions. But when it comes to building intelligent systems, also known as AI systems, the question of what is intelligence becomes more pertinent, exactly because we're trying to build a cognitive system that would be resolving a problem that we're interested in having solved. As you understand, it might be necessary to have a more specific understanding of what intelligence looks like. And in a context of research on the topic, you might just find that there are more definitions of intelligence than one could ask for at the moment, and it is one of the topics of confusion among even established academics, what we mean exactly by intelligence, especially when we're addressing questions regarding systems that are at the human level of intelligence or beyond human intelligence, also known as superintelligence. As a result, it seems interesting to consider the various definitions of intelligence and see how they fit or how they serve us depending on the context of our study. For that purpose, I will go through different definitions that come up. This specific paper that I decided to choose is exactly a technical report that collects many definitions of intelligence. The first definition comes from a dictionary and defines intelligence as an ability. Like I said before, it's very typical to think of intelligence in terms of capabilities, cognitive capabilities. And so intelligence is the ability to use memory, knowledge, experience, understanding, reasoning, imagination, and judgment in order to solve problems and adapt to new situations. Now, this definition seems to be pretty intuitive. and implies this feature of intelligence, which is what allows for organisms or cognitive systems to survive and overcome whatever obstacles may appear in their environment. For that reason, it seems pretty intuitive to think of intelligence in these terms, mostly because of its usefulness and practicality. Now, another definition for intelligence is the capacity to acquire and apply knowledge. Much more broader, but again, the emphasis is on the capacity. It's again a cognitive capability that has to do with learning. That's what this knowledge is about. And not just acquiring knowledge, not just being able to learn, but another feature, perhaps extension, depending on your definition of learning and knowledge, which is generalization, which is to be able to apply the concept you've learned as you switch, as you transfer yourself to another environment. And this is something that we see in different learning acquisition processes, especially if you've ever had to teach someone a new topic. You'll see that they may be seeming to understand what you're explaining to them. And once you've changed the context of discussion, you might just notice by the way of applying the concept to the new context that they don't really understand what it's about, because they failed to generalize, as machine learning researchers often say. I will move a little bit forward, as most of these definitions, as you can tell, use the term ability. All of these definitions: an ability to understand, an ability to learn, understand, make judgments, a general mental capability, an ability to learn facts and skills and apply them, an ability, a capacity, an ability. And we come here to this definition from Wikipedia, and I just wanted to take a minute to deliberate on this definition, and in particular the choice of terminology, as intelligence is a property of mind that encompasses many related mental abilities, such as capacities to reason, plan, etc. So here we're still talking about capabilities, cognitive capabilities, but they are treated as one cluster of features that characterize minds. And that could make someone think, well, if you don't have a mind, you don't have intelligence. Or if you want to define a mind, you're going to be doing that through these clusters that are typically assigned to intelligence. So here, one might become a little bit more suspicious and ask a question along the lines of, well, does this mean we're conflating or very strongly associating the concept of intelligence or an intelligent being with being a mind? And how would we define that exactly? And you see in this definition again, capacity of mind, and we return to ability to comprehend, ability to learn, reason, and understand. These are the general definitions of intelligence, and you notice the focus on capacity, holding a certain capacity. Now we'll move to the psychological definitions that come from research in psychology. And you'll notice here, and you might be a little bit more suspicious for how the term comes to be useful as defined a little bit differently compared to the general definitions of intelligence that we saw before. And the first definition, again, uses the term ability, but points here to not a single one. It's not one thing, which is something that we did see in earlier definitions. But what's interesting here is that it calls the other cognitive definitions functions, right? Maybe if you wanted to use the previous wording, one would say functions of a mind in particular, and finishes the definition kind of predictably, right? It's a combination of abilities required for survival and advancement within a particular culture. Again, problem solving seems to be central to defining intelligence. Intelligence is something that has usefulness for practical life. So you are a mind in a world and you have to navigate that world and survive, and to do that you might have to adapt, right? You have to adapt to the circumstances of your environment. And so what you see here in these definitions of psychology, the focus starts to become this problem-solving capability or aspect of intelligent systems. And a definition that might not tell you very much, however, does describe a truth about the property of intelligence, is that it is measured by intelligence test. Now, what this test would have to look like is another conversation, but if you want a quantitative approach, you would say, well, we're going to have to design carefully the kind of questions or tasks that let us measure intelligence. Now, this longer definition here, a quality that is intellectual and not emotional or moral. Okay, so this introduces another aspect of do not conflate intelligence with emotions or morality, which is something that comes up a lot in AI safety discussions when we might be having some conflicting intuitions about whether an intelligent agent would be having better values, and many quotes better. What does it mean for your morality to change? Do your values change as you become more intelligent? Do the values of high intelligence agents converge towards a set of values? Is there anything of that sort? These are all open questions. And like I said, one may find that our intuitions can be contradictory. At least my intuitions are often contradictory here. Again, this problem solving, adjusting to one's environment, aspect of intelligence, capacity to learn and profit by experience, and so on. So what I wanted to emphasize here was the problem-solving element. Psychology seems to be treating subjects, intelligent subjects, particularly in these terms of interaction with the environment. New problems come up. What does your agent do? Higher intelligence, more likely for the agent to resolve whatever problem and overcome whatever obstacle in the environment. And all these definitions here seem to be kind of similar as one looks at them. So now we're finally arriving at the AI researcher definitions. And it'll be interesting to see here what are the similarities. Because remember, an AI researcher is interested in actually engineering, building an intelligent system. So the question here would be, well, what are the parts of the definition of intelligence that serve you in building an intelligent system? And you'll notice that there are many similarities. So we're again treating it as an ability. We're again thinking in terms of environments and interaction with environments and adjusting one's behavior to succeed in that environment. But what's new, perhaps, here is that it's an uncertain environment and the agent has to make good predictions in that environment. So we're thinking in terms of probability, and the predictions the agent is going to make are going to yield higher success and better performance in that environment, therefore more likely for the system to survive and do well in that environment. This definition, again, presupposes the interaction with a context, which says, well, how will your intelligent system optimally use limited resources that it finds? The limited resources are, well, the environment. We live in a scarcity kind of setup. Our time is not infinite. We still have some goals, though. Generally, our resources are not infinite. We are constrained in many ways. We want to achieve our goals. And within that, we have to problem solve, taking these into account. And we're coming back to the emphasis on problem solving, although here we're also mentioning the importance of the complexity of the problems. So it's one thing to be able to process information in a simple environment. It's another thing to be able to process information in a complex environment and succeed in that environment. And so you see how here the question about AGI comes up, artificial general intelligence or human level intelligence requires a highly adaptive general purpose system that can autonomously acquire an extremely wide range of specific knowledge and skills and can improve its own cognitive ability through self-directed learning, which is something that humans typically do. As you can tell, even though one single definition might be difficult or might not even be necessary, given where we're at in terms of research in AI, most importantly, it seems like there is a lot of convergence in these definitions. So if we wanted to sum it up, we will be thinking about intelligence as a capacity of minds or of cognitive systems, a capacity to what? To be interacting with one's environment in a way that's beneficial for the agent, and that includes successful problem solving, and in particular, problem solving even of complex problems. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more of it, please subscribe and leave in the comments your suggestions for other topics at the intersection of these fields that you would like to hear about and think and look at up close. Thank you.